Welcome to the Eat This Book podcast. I'm Michael Whitworth. Each day we take a small piece of scripture and we sit with it. Not a quick snack that disappears before lunch, not a chore you check off of a list, but rather a meal meant to be savored. So pull up a chair. Let's eat. Jacob has been living with Laban for a month. He arrived at the well a stranger and left it family. Laban embraced him, called him bone and flesh, brought him home. For 30 days, Jacob has worked alongside his uncle, tending flocks, proving his worth, falling deeper in love with Rachel every single day. And Laban has been watching, taking notes, calculating, because Laban is a schemer too, and he recognizes one of his own. Laban opens a negotiation. "Since you're my kinsman," he says, "you shouldn't work for nothing. Tell me, what do you want for wages?" It sounds generous. It sounds like a fair uncle looking out for his nephew's interests. But Laban isn't being generous. He's seen how Jacob looks at Rachel. He knows what Jacob wants, and he's going to make him pay for it. The text pauses here to describe Laban's two daughters, and the description is heartbreaking in its economy. Leah's eyes were weak, perhaps tender, perhaps lacking luster, perhaps simply unremarkable. Rachel was beautiful in form and appearance. That's it. That's all we get. Two sisters, one plain, one stunning, living in the same house, measured against each other every day. The rivalry that will poison the next generation starts here, in this simple comparison that condemns Leah with faint description. Jacob loved Rachel. The text states it plainly. Not Leah, Rachel, the beautiful one, the younger one, the one he met at the well, the one he wept over, the one he's been dreaming about for a month. So when Laban asks what Jacob wants for wages, the answer is obvious. 7 years of labor for Rachel. 7 years. Not 7 months, 7 years. In the ancient world, a bride price was customary, payment from the groom's family to the bride's family, compensation for losing a daughter's labor. But Jacob has nothing. He fled Beersheba with only the clothes on his back. He has no flocks to offer, no silver, no inheritance to draw on. All he has is his labor, so he offers 7 years of it. Laban agrees, but notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't say, "Yes, I will give you Rachel after 7 years." He says, "It's better that I give her to you than to someone else." It's vague, it's non-committal, the kind of answer a lawyer gives when he wants to leave room for reinterpretation later. Jacob doesn't notice. He's too in love to read the fine print. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. This might be the most romantic sentence in the Bible. 2,500 days, countless sunrises and sunsets, seasons cycling through, youth slowly fading into maturity, and it felt like nothing. It felt like a few days, because he loved her. Love transforms time. Love makes the unbearable bearable. Love takes 7 years of servitude and compresses them into a moment, a breath, a small price to pay for the woman waiting at the end. Jacob the schemer, Jacob the grabber, Jacob who has never waited for anything in his life, he waits, patiently, joyfully, because Rachel is worth it. The 7 years end. Jacob goes to Laban. "Give me my wife. My time is completed." The directness is almost jarring. No more waiting. The time has come. Laban gathers all the people of the place and makes a feast, a wedding celebration. Wine flowing, music playing, the whole community gathered to witness the union. Everything looks exactly as it should. And then night falls. In the evening, in the dark, when you can't see faces clearly, when veils obscure features, when the wine has been flowing and the celebration has been long and the groom is finally receiving what he's waiting 7 years for, Laban brings his daughter to Jacob. Jacob doesn't know. He can't tell. The woman in his tent, in his bed, in his arms, he thinks it's Rachel. It's not. Morning comes, light creeps into the tent, and Jacob looks at his wife, and behold, it was Leah. Behold. The Hebrew word signals surprise, shock, the sudden crash of reality into expectation. Jacob expected Rachel. Jacob got Leah. The deceiver has been deceived. The irony is almost too perfect. Jacob tricked his blind father in the dark, pretending to be someone he wasn't. Now Jacob has been tricked in the dark, unable to see that the woman beside him wasn't who he thought. Isaac asked, "Who are you?" and Jacob lied. Now Jacob wakes up asking the same question and discovers he's been the victim of the same kind of fraud he once perpetrated. The man who put on goat skins to feel like Esau has now embraced Leah, thinking she was Rachel. Deception has come full circle. The chickens have come home to roost. Jacob is reaping what he sowed. Jacob confronts Laban. "What is this that you have done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Why have you deceived me?" The words hang in the air. Why have you deceived me? Can you hear the echo? Can you hear Esau's voice underneath Jacob's? Is he not rightly called Jacob, for he has cheated me these 2 times? Jacob is finally experiencing what he made others feel. The shock of betrayal, the rage of being tricked, the sickening realization that someone you trusted has manipulated you for their own gain. He sounds exactly like his victims. Laban's response is devastating in its simplicity. It is not done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. The younger before the firstborn. Does Laban know Jacob's history? Does he know that Jacob supplanted his older brother, that the younger stole the firstborn's blessing? The text doesn't say, but the words land like a hammer. In our country, we don't put the younger before the firstborn. We follow the proper order. We respect the natural sequence. We don't do what you did, Jacob. Whether Laban knows it or not, he's pronounced judgment. But Laban isn't done extracting value from his nephew. "Complete Leah's bridal week," he says, "and I'll give you Rachel too, for another 7 years of labor." Another 7 years, for the woman he was promised in the first place. Jacob has already worked 7, and now he'll work 7 more, 14 years total for Rachel. Laban has doubled his labor force. He's married off both daughters. He's come out ahead in every possible way. The schemer has been out-schemed. Jacob agrees. What choice does he have? He's already married to Leah. He's in a foreign land with no resources, no family support, no way home. And he still loves Rachel. So he completes Leah's bridal week, and Laban gives him Rachel as well. 2 wives, 2 sisters, one loved, one unloved. The foundation for a family that will be marked by rivalry, jealousy, and pain for generations. Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. There it is. The sentence that will haunt the rest of this story. More than. Not equally, more than. Leah is the unloved wife, the one who was used as a pawn in her father's scheme, the one who went to Jacob's bed knowing she wasn't wanted, knowing she was a substitute, knowing that mourning would bring rejection. Did Leah have a choice? Could she have refused her father's plan? The text doesn't tell us. But it does tell us the result. She became a wife, but never became beloved. And Jacob served Laban for another 7 years, 14 years total, for 2 wives he didn't plan on having, in a family dynamic he never wanted, trapped by a man who matches him scheme for scheme. The deceiver is learning what deception costs. Not just the immediate consequences, but the long, grinding aftermath. 7 years that felt like days for love. 7 more years that probably felt like decades. Serving a man who tricked him, sleeping beside a woman he doesn't love, waiting for the children who will carry forward all this dysfunction. Here's what lingers from this passage. You reap what you sow. Jacob deceived Isaac in the dark. Jacob was deceived by Laban in the dark. The method of his sin became the method of his suffering. This isn't arbitrary punishment. It's the natural consequence of living in a world where deception breeds deception. But love transforms everything. It just doesn't prevent pain. Jacob's love for Rachel made 7 years feel like days. It also led him into 14 years of complicated servitude, a polygamous marriage, and a household full of rivalry. Love is powerful, but love is also costly. And third, the unloved suffer most. Leah didn't choose this. She was traded, used, and rejected. The schemes of fathers and the desires of lovers land hardest on those with the least power. Leah will spend her marriage trying to earn love she'll never fully receive. And God isn't finished with any of them. This messy, painful, dysfunctional family will produce the 12 tribes of Israel. Leah, the unloved one, will bear Judah, through whom the Messiah will come. God works through broken situations, not by approving of them, but by redeeming them. If you've ever been deceived, if someone you trusted has betrayed you, manipulated you, given you Leah when you expected Rachel, this passage says the pain is real. Jacob felt it too. Morning light reveals what darkness hid, and the revelation wounds. If you've been the deceiver, if your own tricks have come back around, if you're experiencing the consequences of what you once did to others, this passage says that's how the world works. Not as divine revenge, but as natural consequence. Deception poisons everything it touches, including the deceiver. And if you're Leah, unloved, second choice, trapped in someone else's scheme, this passage says God sees you. He saw Leah. He will open her womb while Rachel remains barren. He'll give her sons. He'll weave her into the story of redemption. The unloved are not unseen. 7 years for Rachel, morning light revealing Leah, the younger before the firstborn, and 7 more years. A household built on rivalry, ready to birth a nation. Next time on Eat This Book, 2 sisters share one husband and the rivalry turns into a baby race. Every child gets a name, and every name tells a story of pain, hope, and desperate longing. Join me again in Genesis 29 and 30 as we discover how the 12 tribes of Israel were born in the middle of a family feud. Thanks for eating with me. Until next time, may the Word dwell in you richly.